Good morning, and thank you for having me here today. Now, my presentation is about today is building your financial house. In it, I'll be answering the questions of why you should build a financial house based on your personal needs and goals and what it could look like. The ultimate goal for you is financial independence, knowing how much money you'll need to make work optional and still live a life of abundance and on your own terms. Now, in our changing economic times, you know, we strongly recommend a change. We need to move away from the model of someone controlling where you live, what schools your children can attend, where you vacation, and when. Now, women should be concerned about their day-to-day spending because it puts them into a debt cycle, and the banks and credit card companies keep us in bondage. And it allows others to define who we are and our value in this country. So we must learn to leverage credit and money to our advantage by learning the rules of the current game and changing them to work to our advantage. And that's why we're talking about building a financial house. Now, my presentation is a brief overview of how money works and why building your financial house on a solid foundation of income protection, interior spaces that include wealth building strategies, your personal financial independence number, debt reduction, retirement funding, and college tuition allocation if needed. Time is money, so let's go. So why are people having so many financial challenges today? Most people today don't get a financial education, have a financial game plan, have a financial coach. Now, my mission today is to help families learn. My mission today is to help families earn more income and become properly protected, debt-free, and financially independent. Now, who do you think needs help with this? A lot of women, most women that I know. So we teach people how money works. We talk about things like the rule of 72, the power of compound interest, the theory of decreasing responsibility, high cost of waiting, to pay yourself first, debt stacking, and buy term and invest the difference when it comes to insurance. And we're going to talk about a few of these things in detail today, specifically the rule of 72, the power of compounding interest, and paying yourself first. Now, the rule of 72. Now, the way this works is you divide the interest rate into 72 to find the approximate number of years it's going to take for your money to double. You have a rich uncle, you're 20 years old, and your rich uncle gives you $2,000 with the stipulation that you don't spend it. Okay, this is for your future, right? So you put it into an investment vehicle of your choice. You find one, because if you park it in a bank, you'll get minimal interest. But if you find a decent investment vehicle, you can put it in, you can earn 3%. So year one, you make your deposit of $2,000, and it'll be 24 years before that money doubles. So that 2 will turn into 4. So now you're 44 years old with $4,000. And another 24 before it turns into $8,000. So at this point, you're 68 years old. My question to you is, can you retire and live off of the $8,000? And how long do you think you can live on that $8,000? Not very long, right? At 6%, right? 6 into 72 is 12. So every 12 years, that money will double. And at the end of 48 years, when you're 68 years old, you have $32,000. That's a little better than 32. I'm sorry, that's a little better than 8. But how long and how far could you go on $32,000? At 12%, that money will double every 6 years. And when you're 68 years old, it'll bring you to $512,000. That's a substantial piece of change. And yes, you could live on that and be comfortable. But I'm sure your question is, well, now where can I get 12%? This is just an example of how the rule of 72 works, and how long it would take that money to double. Right? So how do you win the game if you don't know the rules? Because the banks certainly know those rules. Do the banks and insurance companies have any incentive to teach us this rule? No, because they'll take your deposit, put it, give you minimal interest on it. But in the meanwhile, they loaning it out at 18, 24, whatever they can get. And they're earning money and paying your pittance on your deposit. So you could do the same thing, cut the middleman out. Now, who would benefit from learning this rule? All of us. Shouldn't we have learned this rule in school? Yes, we should have, but you can only teach what you know. Without introducing us to friends and family, how would they learn the rule of 72? No, income protection. Now, what if you had a toaster in your kitchen and on the 1st and 15th of every month, $2,000 popped out of it? Would you like that toaster? Would you insure it? Unfortunately, there's no such toaster, but in reality, you are the money machine for your family. So if it makes sense to insure an imaginary toaster's income, wouldn't it make sense to insure your own income? Now, here's a real life example. You have a married couple, mom, dad, and baby. They each bring home $2,500 in monthly income, and that $2,500 per person is $5,000 in total, and it takes care of things like their mortgage, their cars, insurance, credit cards, utilities, groceries, childcare, entertainment, etc. So, tragedy strikes the family, and dad is gone. If this happens, what will this family lose? Well, they would lose his income for sure. Would their lifestyle have to change? More than likely, because they still have $5,000 in bills, but now they only have $2,500 coming in. What if they had a plan to replace that income? Now, $300,000 in low-cost term insurance will replace that $2,500 in monthly income, and they can continue to live in the manner in which they had intended when they got married and had a family and decided that this is how they wanted to live. Yeah. This is about the financial house. This is where we get to the crux of it. Okay. And at the end of it, there's a pop quiz. And don't worry, you can answer the questions. And there is help for you if you get stuck. Now you build a financial house you build your house from the bottom up. You need a solid foundation. And for us, income protection. You protect your income because it takes your income to build this house. And you want to make sure that you can fund all of your hopes and dreams that you're going to contain in this house. Solid foundation of income protection. Then you put a roof on that house because while you're putting the rest of the house together, you don't want the inside to get damaged by weather, et cetera, et cetera. So you put a roof on. The roof meaning a living will, power of attorney. Then you'll put aside an emergency fund, 3 to 6 months. Things happen when you least expect it, and you shouldn't have to go into debt to take care of an emergency. And on average, most people in this country do not have $400 to take care of. They don't have the funds set aside to take care of a $400 emergency without putting it on a credit card or having to borrow. Right? Then we talk about debt reduction. Right? The minute you get rid of all of your debts, with the exception of your mortgage, right, you can put that money into work for you in the form of investments, savings, but you don't have to worry about paying that out. And remember when I told you about compounding interest working against you? Well, when you got debts, they have interest, and the interest compounds daily, monthly, yearly, creating a perpetual debt cycle. So the minute that you can get rid of those debts, now you have money that you can tell where you want it to go, including putting it in investments. Now you don't have to pay monthly bills. You can put all of that money into your investments, retirement planning, in a Roth, 401k, 403b, college planning for your kids, or you could be saving for a house. Now, here's the quiz. Do you have enough individual life insurance to replace your income in the event of a premature death of either you or your spouse? Do you have a will, living will, or durable power of attorney? Because if you don't, then the state, wherever you live, has a will for you. They will determine who gets what, where your children go, how the money is divided up, everything. So if you want to have control over that, you need to have one in place to determine, to make sure that your wants and desires are, your wishes are followed through on. Do you have 3 to 6 months of expenses in an emergency fund? In this current economic climate, you never know when you're going to be out of a job. You may need 3 to 6 months of expenses to live on, so that you can have time to find a job, one that works for you, instead of taking just anything that comes along. Do you have a plan to eliminate debt as quickly as possible? Debt stacking, piling one on the other, using exactly what you have, but throwing, you have a plan to get rid of it. Do you have a plan to duplicate your paycheck in retirement? So when you decide that work's now optional, you still need money to live on. And you need to be able to duplicate your income during your working years, during your retirement years. Now, do you currently have a written financial game plan that addresses these strategies in your financial house? Would you want one if it were free? Your ultimate goal here being financial independence. And we will work on things like finding your financial independence number, and that's the amount of money that you're going to need when you determine that work is now optional, but you'll still be able to live in a life of abundance and on your terms. So if you're ready to get started or you have more questions, we need to schedule a time to discuss your needs and family goals. We can talk as soon as today. The past is present, but the future is yours to create. You can reach me. I have my email address here. It's Theresa.Meyers, the number 1 at yahoo.com, or I can be found on Facebook, Theresa.Meyers, number 3. You can DM me, instant message me, get in contact with me today. I'll be more than happy to answer any of your questions. Thank you for your time and attention. And you all have a blessed day. Thank you.